we will go to find where MR equal to MC and what's the profit. Okay? And in doing so, we will cover a number of scenarios, number of definitions or jargons, but we will do that a little slowly. I always go a little slow on this market for a reason, because this is the building block. If you understand this, then you understand the fundamental principle of profit maximization. You just apply this same principle to other markets, and you can come to the conclusion about how profit is maximized in other types of market. Okay? So now, when you talk of perfect competition, there is something unique in this type of market. Okay? Perfect competition. To change the color in a minute. It's a funky color. Okay? Now, in this market, and in this market only, we make a big distinction between a firm and an industry. This distinction is very meaningful and very important in this type of market, in perfect competition. Not that it does not matter in other types of market, but this is the most important distinction in this market. Now, one thing I have not told you yet is that we are not here to look at the industry. We are here to look at how a particular firm maximizes profit. All right? Not the industry. So what's the distinction between a firm and an industry? Many of you know it. All of you know it. An industry is composed of similar firms. You know, in common parlance, we actually use the word industry very loosely. Everything is industry, right? But to be very pure, very kosher, very perfect, in economics we make a distinction. An industry is composed of a number of firms. For example, Ford is not an industry. GM is not an industry. Or for that matter, Microsoft is not an industry. They all belong to Ford, GM, Chrysler, Toyota, Honda, Subaru, all of them, they belong to the auto industry. These are all firms. Ford is a firm and Honda is a firm and so on. Okay? And they belong to the same industry, but each firm has its own unique characteristic. So we'll talk about the firm in this particular case. Okay. Now, this is how the perfect competition is seen, and this is why the distinction between firm and industry is so critical. Okay? In the real world, this is what the industry is, and we have seen that. You know, when we talked about the market equilibrium, that's what we did. In the industry, this is the demand, and this is the supply. Okay? So, this is your price of the product. This is quantity of how many units you are producing. This is your supply curve for the product. This is your demand curve. And equilibrium is established right here in this point. And we can just draw a line to show the equilibrium price. Let's say it is $10. And at $10, you are producing, let's say, 10,000 units or 100,000 units, right? So let's use dollars. So equilibrium price is $10, and at $10 you have produced Q equal to 560 units. All right? That's the industry. But this is not what we're interested in. Every firm is unique. In a monopolistic competition, there are many firms. Many is infinite number of firms. We're just interested in finding out what the general principle is where one particular farm maximizes profit. Okay. Now here are some things that are given, that we take for granted. And one of those first things is a farm is a price taker. Let me write it down. It will be in your test in some form or other. A farm is a price taker. Remember, in perfect competition, there are so many buyers and so many sellers that no one can influence the market price. So every farm selling in a perfectly competitive market is a price taker. Someone gave the example of a stock. So whoever is selling a particular stock on a given day, whether it is Shearson Lehman, whether it's Charles Schwab, or whether it's a small town America farmer, seller John Doe, they're all selling the Microsoft stock at the same price, or the Facebook stock at the same price, right? So they're all price takers. Okay? Makes sense? Everyone take that for granted, right? Then, if that is the case, then this $10, the price of this particular product in perfectly competitive market, will prevail in all the markets. Okay? That $10 will prevail in all the farms. So let's call this just one particular farm. And this farm is going to take that $10 for granted. That's the price that's coming to this farm. Okay? So we know that this particular farm cannot do anything. That farm has to sell the product at $10. Okay? So let's label them now. So this is farm A. There must be zillions of farms, but we are talking about one particular farm. Let's call it farm A. And this particular farm, that $10, it cannot change. It has to take 10. That's the price set in the market. Whether it is the October soybean or April wheat, or whether it's the price of a stock on a given day. Okay? And over here, let's put dollars instead of price. And because we're going to be interested in maximizing profit, and over here is quantity. So that's price. Price equal to $10. So let's put P equal to $10. That's our point of departure in analyzing profit maximization under perfect competition. Do all of you get that? Okay? That is theory. You don't do anything with it. That's what is given to us. A farm is a price taker. Now, another characteristic of perfect competition, which is a big characteristic, is economic Darwinism. Economic Darwinism.